En innovativ forsker fra DTU har valgt at sende miso ud i rummet. Det er jeg nødt til at tage ud og spørge ham om, hvorfor han har gjort, og om man kan sammenligne det at være i rummet med at være indlagt på et hospital. Jeg hedder Jakob Burcharth. Jeg er speciallæge i kirurgi og forsker. Jeg ved, at ernæring er vigtig før, under og efter sygdom. Men hvad nytter det, hvis den viden, vi har, ikke bliver omsat til handling? Derfor tager jeg ud og møder forskere og klinikere, der hver dag arbejder for at omsætte deres viden til praksis. Det her er det, vi lever af.
Godmorgen.
Jeg har et møde med en, der hedder Joshua. Hi.
Welcome.
I'm Jacob.
Nice to meet you. Where are we? We are at the Novo Nordisk Foundation Center for Biosustainability, and I am an associate professor here, and I lead a research group called Sustainable Food Innovation. Let's get a coffee and we can go upstairs.
I heard that you have sent miso in orbit. Is that true?
This is true. We call it the space miso experiment. In sensory science, there's this idea of sensory-specific satiety. And this idea is saying that if you are forced, for whatever reasons, to eat the same thing too much, even if that food is nourishing to you, people will gradually eat less and less because they are bored, essentially. Being on somewhere like the ISS, everything is so regimented and structured and planned, and the meals are repetitive and they all have to be freeze-dried. So one of the things that many astronauts say is, you know, what do you miss most? Oh, I miss food on Earth, you know. We sent maybe like 200, 300 grams to space in total.
Yeah.
And then we got it back and we, took some samples for it, did some analysis. We also did some sensory analysis with it. Being in the ISS, it's kind of like an extreme version of being on an airplane where, our senses in general are dulled. And so fermentation can be really powerful here because many fermentations create these sort of powerful, pungent, spicy flavors. And that can be a way, again, to, enliven astronauts' senses. So there are a lot of reasons why we send miso to space.
You described that astronauts have dull senses or are being in extreme environment. I think on a less extreme basis, we see many of the same things in hospitals. We see often that patients eat the same things. I think the senses-wise is very much the same. And even though it's very much different being in space or being at a hospital, I think there is a common ground in the fact that your muscles will decline in size very, very quickly. So the nutritional value is very important. It's not the same, but I see very many similarities between this.
I think you're right. Well, welcome to our food lab. It's kind of like a mix of a professional kitchen with some little special science lab-y bits.
My world clinically very much surrounds patients or persons that have lost their appetite. They describe that their sensation of eating is flat. As we speak at the moment, they have to choose between taste and nutritional value. If you could add some kind of taste that persons or patients request in the period after illness, but it had nutritional value, that would be of great clinical value to our field.
Okay, welcome to our walk-in fridge. I think we're gonna taste this guy, and we're gonna taste this guy, and we're gonna start there.
Umami and the sweet taste and the sour taste are in very high demand. It's the single thing that patients feel like.
It could be fun to maybe taste one thing that sort of represents each of those tastes.
Yeah,
we can use that as like a rubric. We're gonna start with this, which is gonna be umami. I think implicit in the majority of the things we do is definitely a keen interest in health and nutrition. And not always, but often we find that there's a correlation between making some of these byproducts more tasty and making the nutrition in them more bioavailable. In order to make them more tasty, it involves using enzymes, using microbes, using culinary techniques, often to break down some of these molecules into smaller ones. So breaking proteins down into amino acids, breaking starches into sugars. But a lot of those molecules, because they're smaller, are also more bioavailable to us. And so it's a good example of how the kind of tastes that we're focusing on here, we really do see a strong correlation between pursuing those flavors and also the foods that they're in being very nourishing.
It resembles soy sauce
Right?
almost one-to-one.
Yeah. And that's kind of the idea.
You could fool me.
Now we're gonna taste the sour one. This one is maybe more on the like fun experimental side.
Okay.
This is red wine leaves, dead yeast and grape skins, basically.
Wow. It's salty, citrus. Do it have some kind of nutritional value?
Yeah, here nutritionally, the main thing is gonna be like bioactive stuff, antioxidant boost. There's all sorts of ways with a little bit of creativity, we can find ways to bring this sort of thing into the way that people already eat. I see a lot of potential for something like this, yeah.
With all the knowledge, with all the benefits you just have described, why isn't this new area taking over our supermarkets, our habits?
You know, trying to change something like food culture is like trying to change the course of a huge like ship. And like, yes, new knowledge can help. That's why I'm in research, because I believe in the power of new knowledge. But I think it's a mistake to think that new knowledge is sufficient to change behavior, to change society, to change culture.
I think
I'm gonna get an ice cream and I'll be right
perfect.
back. I think we also believe in the power of fun, making foods not just more serious foods like the brand amino or like alt meat stuff, but also stuff like ice cream. Because who doesn't love ice cream, you know? Is there a way we can use fun to keep the lightness, but also talk about the serious stuff?
Wow, it tastes good. You have tapped perfectly into how we see the problem from a clinical point of view. What patients require and request is umami, acidity, and sweetness.
You know, and find that very inspiring. And how can we find ways to bring the
Introduce
nourishment
them,
that they
yeah,
need
exactly.
into forms that are based on those basic tastes?
Yeah, I see a great potential in this, really, on a large scale. And on that note, thank you very much for letting me come here today.
Thank you so much for coming. It's been a real pleasure to share our work with you.
Jeg troede egentlig, at mit besøg hos Josh på DTU skulle handle om miso. Men det viser sig jo, at han er på en større mission om at gøre fremtidens fødevarer ikke kun mere bæredygtige, men også mere nærende. Hvis vi kan overføre de her principper til hospitalskøkkenerne, så kan det være på sigt, at vi kan få mere næring i vores patienter, og dermed, at vi får endnu et redskab til at gøre folk hurtigere raske. Det her er det, vi lever af.